Welcome to Journey at Home. I'm so glad you decided to join us today. I can talk. I'm so glad you decided to join us today. If you're watching on Facebook, start a watch party. Don't be weird. Interact with people and be kind and take prayer requests. If you're watching on YouTube, just enjoy it. Okay. Hey, thank you for everybody who's giving. We appreciate that. You're helping us to continue to serve our community, and I'm so grateful for that. And you are blessing. Hey, let's get started. Okay. Someone ring the bell. All right. All right, you're going to keep ringing that thing. And hey, put your hand on your chest and repeat after me, all right? I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God's Holy Spirit. God loves me. And God is still on the throne. God, we are so grateful that you're still on the throne. Thank you so much for being a God who cares about us, a God who loves us, a God who helps us. And God, I ask for your help right now as I share this message. I pray that it'll be a specific blessing to somebody who's watching right now. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen, amen, amen. Hey, there are a lot of terms that we have learned since this coronavirus pandemic that we did not know before it began. Like there's a bunch of words I knew on March 12th that I didn't know on March 1st, all right? Words like flattening the curve, all right? Like before this whole thing, I would have thought that's a baseball term, right? Or what my wife says about my waistline when I eat too many Fritos, right? You got to flatten that curve. Sheltering, it's another term that we've heard that is kind of a new context for us, sheltering at home. Corona, now some of you guys already knew that term because you like your Corona with lime and you know who I'm talking to, all right? But Corona means something totally different to us now. Or if you're cool, you say Rona. All right, Rona is the cool way of saying it. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling is when you troll through social media looking for, just reading things, and it's just like negative stuff. Like if you're going through your feed and all you're reading is negative stuff, that's called doom scrolling, all right? Essential personnel. We now know that everybody who thought they were essential, you're not as essential as you thought you were, all right? Essential personnel. Is a new terminology. My cat loves it. My cat believes she is essential personnel in our house, and I'm trying to convince her otherwise, all right? Zoom meetings, all right? Now, you may not have heard of Zoom, had no idea what a Zoom meeting was. You do now, right? Like, it's that thing where you wear a nice shirt on the top and shorts on the bottom, right? Zoom meeting, and then there's Zoom bombing. And Zoom bombing is when you're doing a Zoom meeting and a kid or a dog or somebody shows up in the background. And it's called Zoom bombing, all right? And also because of this quarantine and what it has done and causing people to shelter at home, we are going to experience something in the next 8 to 9 months. It's called coronials, quarantines, or corona babies, all right? By the way, it's already happening. If you look on social media, it's already happening, all right? And then there's something that a terminology we use now called homemade sanitizer, all right? And I've got some right here, homemade sanitizer that was made by WeldWorks here in Greeley, Colorado. And it's in a water bottle, which is really confusing, and I want to drink it. But I got to tell you, before the coronavirus, if you had said the phrase homemade sanitizer, I would have thought that's what my ancestors in the mountains of Kentucky used to make, all right? They call it homemade sanitizer, all right? Listen, all right? So I got to remind myself not to drink this. I'll put this down here so I won't drink that, all right? And another term, a phrase that has become very well-known during this pandemic that it's not something we've ever used before, but we're all familiar with it now, and it's the phrase social distancing. Social distancing. Now, I want you to listen very carefully to what I have to say today, okay? Because I think it's very, very important, but it's important that you hear everything I'm saying. I'm very concerned about the long-term impact of social distancing, especially in light of what I know about the kingdom and our king. We're in a series on the kingdom. And social distancing, I'm looking at it now through the filter of the kingdom and our king. Now, before I get into this teaching, let me be clear about what I'm not saying, okay? Listen very carefully. I want you to hear what I'm not saying. First of all, I'm not saying we shouldn't practice social distancing, okay? I need you to keep that in mind as I go through this message, that I'm not saying we shouldn't practice social distancing. I'm not saying we should take risk with our health and the health of others. That's not what I'm saying. We should not take risk with our health and the health of others. And I'm also not saying this. I'm not saying we shouldn't try to protect the lives of the vulnerable. In fact, let me pause here and answer a question that you're probably asking. If you're a part of Journey Christian Church, you're probably wondering, when are we reopening? Well, first, we've never closed, all right? We've never closed, all right? We've been working. We've been serving the community. We've been doing everything we can to help people stay connected with Christ, to help Christians stay together, connected with the church and the church at large. And we've done everything we can to help Journey Christian Church to stay connected with the community, okay? So we have never closed. But to your question, when are we reopening? Let me answer your question, okay? Here's my answer. We don't know, all right? We don't know. But let me share a few principles that are going to guide our decision about when we restore in-person gatherings, all right? Here's the first principle that's guiding our decision-making process. In light of the dangerous nature of the coronavirus and in light of the horrors that it has caused in our country, we're going to err on caution, okay? That's the first thing. We're going to err on caution, all right? Second thing is this. The second principle is this. We will restore in-person gatherings when it's safe for everyone, children, senior citizens, and the vulnerable. We don't imagine a scenario where we say, yeah, come to Journey, it's just safe for this demographic. Come to Journey, it's just safe for kids. No. We're going to restore in-person gatherings when it's safe for everybody, all right? Here's another principle, okay, that's guiding our decision about when we start to gather again. Journey doesn't operate well under strict social distancing guidelines. Just think about this. The way Journey does church is not conducive to social distancing. Can you imagine kids isolated from other kids and from the adults who love them? Senior citizens isolated from young people, and us not being able to embrace each other. It's not something that we envision people of Journey doing well or enjoying very much. Here's a fourth principle that's guiding our decision about when to start gathering again. We will not reopen in a way that hurts our witness in this community. Let me say that again. We're not going to open in a way that hurts our witness in this community. We have worked 20 years to build a good reputation in this community. And we don't want to go into this next season and make a decision that hurts our witness. We could damage our witness. We could, by gathering too soon or by gathering recklessly. Okay? Here's a fifth thing that a principle that's guiding our decision about when we start gathering again, all right? Our online efforts are not going away, okay? I want to hear that. I want you to hear that because you may be thinking, hey, when we get back together again, what's going to happen with the online experience? Our online efforts are not going away when our physical gatherings begin again. In fact, no. In fact, realizing so many people are not going to want to come back into our big room because of concerns about the coronavirus, or will be unable to worship with us physically because they live somewhere else around the world. And if you're watching from somewhere else around the world, on our Facebook page, would you just text us where you're watching from? Just let us know where you're watching from in the comments section, or on YouTube, put in the comments where you're watching from. We're really curious because we know people are watching from all over the world, okay? But we know that people will watch us from all over the world. That in mind, we're going to shift resources and personnel to make our online campus even more effective, okay? When we start meeting in person again, it's going to be awesome, awesome, awesome. We're going to do everything excellent, just like we always do. But in light of this new reality, we're going to embrace this new reality. And if you're watching us online, we're not going anywhere, right? In fact, we're going to double down and make sure that our online efforts are even better than before. If you have found an online home with Journey Christian Church, we're not going anywhere. We value you and will continue to work hard to help you connect with Christ, the church, and with the community. Okay? I believe the use of this technology what's happening right now, I believe the use of this technology is completely consistent with the Bible, what the Bible teaches about reaching people, and like it's consistent completely with what we see in like the life of the Apostle John, right? The Apostle John, there's a little tidbit in one of his letters to the church where he writes this. The Apostle John writes, "Though I have much to write to you, I would rather not use paper and ink. Instead, I hope to come to you and talk face to face so that our joy may be complete." You need to understand that paper and ink were a technology back in the first century and kind of an advanced technology. And what John is saying, he's saying he's going to use the technology of the day, but he cannot wait. He cannot wait all right? He's going to use the technology to share the gospel with people, but he cannot wait to meet together face to face. He longs to meet with them face to face. I can't wait to talk with you again. I mean, I cannot wait to talk with you again face to face. I can't. It's just, my heart, as I think about getting back together again and us seeing each other face to face and worshiping in the same room again, I start to get emotional. I'm going to be a basket case the first Sunday we get back together again. I long to meet together with you face to face. But I'm telling you this, we're going to keep using this technology to share the gospel and, like John, to reach people. Okay? All right. Back to social distancing. All right? Now I need you to hear very, very clearly and remember this. As I deliver this message, I need you to remember this very, very clearly. Throughout this message, I am not saying to violate our current social distancing orders. All right? You got that? Say yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. All right? Here's what I am saying. I am saying God did not create us to handle long-term social distancing well. We were created for fellowship with God and for fellowship with other people. This is our eternal destiny. Also, the second thing I'm saying is this: God did not practice social distancing. Was God practicing social distancing when he sent Jesus here as a baby? What's the answer? No. Look at how the Apostle John says it. All right, 1 John. I love this. That which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon and have touched with our hands. Concerning the word of life, the life was made manifest. All right? Really, literally what that word means is graspable. And we have seen it and testify to it and proclaim to you the eternal life, which was with the Father and was made manifest to us. That which we have seen and heard, we proclaim also to you, so that you too may have fellowship with us. And indeed, our fellowship is with the Father and with His Son, Jesus Christ. Let me point some things out that are really, really important here, okay? Can we go back to that slide for a second? Okay? We're talking about Jesus here. We're talking about the kingdom here. We're talking about our King here, all right? Touch with our hands. We could touch Jesus with our hands. No social distancing there. Jesus was made manifest, literally graspable. We could grasp Jesus. We could hold him, all right? He was made manifest in our presence. He existed right there. For why? So we'd have fellowship with us. And fellowship is with the Father and with His Son, Jesus Christ. You see, I need you to understand something, all right? God did not practice social distancing. Our King did not practice social distancing, all right? In the kingdom, listen very carefully, the kingdom is not a place of social distancing. Do I need to remind you, all right, that, listen, for the time being, it is important for us to do what we need to do to protect the lives and health of those who are most vulnerable to this terrible disease, okay? Listen, I'm going to remind you that throughout this message. We've got to do whatever we got to do to protect those who are most vulnerable in our community. But here's what I'm saying. Social distancing is a short-term necessity, but would be a long-term travesty. Let that sink in. Social distancing is a short-term necessity, but would be a long-term travesty. We can't live our lives forever at 6 feet apart from one another. If we do, we're going to see a continued rise in loneliness, depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. I'm so burdened by this. I had a conversation with a licensed Christian counselor from Journey Christian Church, Steve Street, and I'm going to be posting that my podcast where I talk to Steve Street, and we talk about anxiety, we talk about depression. It's so practical. We talk about what to do when people are having suicidal thoughts, all right? And so it's on my podcast, Enjoy the Journey with Arron Chambers. You can listen to it, okay, because I get into it deeper. But all these things are rising, all right, because of one of the reasons they're rising is because of social distancing. I've been studying the kingdom of God for this series. And in light of our present struggles, I've become convicted, listen very carefully, I've become convicted that social distancing is antithetical to everything the kingdom of God is all about. There is nothing about the kingdom let me say it this way. There is nothing about the kingdom that is anything about having nothing to do with everybody. Look at this. As Jesus is starting his mission and building his kingdom, he can't stop talking about the kingdom. All right, check this out. And he went throughout all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom. Okay, but notice this. If we look at the example of our king, the kingdom's not about social distancing. The kingdom is about going. All right, Jesus was going everywhere to everyone to make sure that they had a chance to hear about the kingdom of God. And right now, so much of our world is about retreating to our homes, retreating behind masks, retreating behind screens. Like right now, I'm behind a screen, and you're not here. Like you're on a screen. Like we're retreating. So much of what we're doing right now. I got to tell you, permanent retreating does not end well. Have you heard about Barbara Foster? In February of 2017, firefighters were called to Barbara Foster's house because for a care call. They wanted to check up on her because somebody was concerned because they hadn't heard from her in a while. So when the firefighters went to check on Barbara Foster, they found that she was molded to her chair. She was still alive, but Barbara had not moved for 7 months. 7 months. And when they tried to move her, she had sat in that chair so long, retreated to that chair so long. When they tried to move her, her skin ripped away from her body and her bones broke. In the article I read in USA Today, there was an interesting quote. While neighbors said they watched out for one another, nobody apparently noticed that anything was amiss at the Foster home. Our next door neighbor of 10 years says he used to wave to Foster while he mowed his grass. It's been years since I've physically seen her. That's what he told the newspaper. Nobody's watched out for one another, right? Like for all that period of time. Like he said neighbors were watching out for one another. Like that's not how neighbors watch out for one another. I'd say they did a terrible job. And I want to say this. We must not do a terrible job of reaching out to one another. Even though we are currently sheltering and social distancing, let me remind you and us, we are citizens of the kingdom of God, and we have a responsibility to look out for one another. And there are ways we can go to other people without being all up in their business, okay? Here's what I want to make sure you understand. I'm not saying to violate our current social distancing orders, all right? Can you hear me? What I am saying is, because here's the thing, I'm trying to avoid like all kinds of hate email, all right? Just please hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying we violate our current social distancing orders. What I'm saying is this. We violate our king's orders. Listen, we violate our king's orders if we allow anyone or anything to prohibit us from going to others by texting them, calling them, emailing them, Zooming with them, or even knocking on their door and stepping back to an appropriate distance to make sure that nothing is amiss. Jesus went to people. He didn't retreat, all right? He could have, but he didn't. And he did what was necessary, but ultimately he went, all right? He went throughout the entire area to go to be with people so they would hear his message. With that in mind, I want you to pray a prayer with me right now. Now, we're not done because I know how y'all roll, all right? I know how you Christians roll. Like when a guy's preaching, if he prays, you're like, he's done. Let's go eat some breakfast, get some donuts, get some coffee. Listen, I'm not done. I'm going to pray, and there's still some more to come, okay? So hang with me. But I felt so convicted about this point. I want you to pray this prayer with me, okay? All right? And it's on the screen because I think it's so important as we try to live like our King and interact with people like our King did. He went to where they were. Let's pray, all right? Lord, you know my heart. Say this with me. Right now, I'm trying to save lives by staying away from other people. But Lord, if there is someone I need to reach out to today, please lay them on my heart right now. And I promise you, I will go to them today. In Jesus' name, amen. If God laid someone's name on your heart, write it down, put it in your phone, put it somewhere, and you follow up with them today, okay? Because that's what our King did, okay? Here's the thing, all right? Don't tune out. We're not done yet. Let's keep reading, okay? So we see the first thing is our King went everywhere. He went to where people were, all right? So we need to go, all right? We need to go where people are in need. All right, let's keep reading. Matthew 4, all right, 23 through 24. And healing every disease and every affliction among the people. So his fame spread throughout all Syria, and they brought him all the sick, those afflicted with various diseases and pains, those oppressed by demons, those having seizures and paralytics, and he healed them. If we look at the example of our king, the kingdom is also all about helping. Helping. People were hurting from serious stuff, diseases, pain, demons, seizures, paralysis. And Jesus helped them all. He helped them all. Did you catch what Matthew wrote? He said that Jesus was healing every disease and every affliction among the people. Jesus helped people because he didn't keep them at arm's distance. This is one of the reasons, I want to pause, this is one of the reasons why healthcare workers out there are true heroes. They are risking their lives. They're not keeping people at arm's distance. They're risking their lives and directly helping people. And if you are a healthcare worker, you're in the medical profession, you are a chiropractor, you're somebody who's taking care of somebody's wellness, we praise God for you, and we thank you because you really are heroes. And you're acting like Jesus, okay, because Jesus didn't keep people at arm's distance. Now listen, they're taking precautions, and we should too. Let me say it again, okay? Do I need to say it again? I'm not saying, all right? I'm not saying to violate current social distancing orders, not at all, but we have to find a way to help hurting people regardless of social distancing guidelines. Here's some practical ways we can help people while also respecting social distancing orders, right? Check in on people in your world who are vulnerable and offer to help them with groceries, household chores, or anything that might require them to get out and be around people. This is a way we can help like Jesus did. All right, here's another thing we can do. Financially support those organizations who are helping people. There are organizations in your community, there are organizations in our community that are helping people. Support them, all right? That's a way you can help them while still maintaining social distance. And for everybody who's helping Journey with our COVID relief fund, we're now over $20,000, all right? $20,800 we have. Even today, all right? Even today, we had a chance to give away to somebody in need, all right? Whose spouse is fighting for their life from COVID. They had a need, and we had a chance today to bless them with about $1,500 to help them with a really, really serious need. That's because of you. We're giving away all that money, okay? Now, it's a way we can help people while also maintaining social distance, okay? So thank you so much. Oh, yeah, forgot to tell you. Also, because of the money you've given, we've been able to set aside $10,000, all right? And with that, listen, with that $10,000 that you've given, we are able right now to pay off $1 million of medical debt in Colorado, and we're going to take care of that, okay? So for every $10,000 you guys send, we're going to pay off $1 million of medical debt. Thank you, okay? Here's the thing. I want to make sure you understand. Another thing we can do to help people that is so important, think about other people who may not be as amazingly healthy, physically strong, and informed as you, okay? I want to say that because as you think about helping people, you may just be thinking about moving forward. You may be thinking, all right, enough of this caring about sick people, enough of this shutting things down. Let's get going, all right? Let me caution you as you say that, because I feel the same way sometimes too, like enough of this, let us go. Let us be free, right? But Jesus helped people ultimately because it was not all about him. Can I say something? All right, listen, it is not all about you. You may not be scared, all right? You may not ever wear a mask, and you may be ready for everything to get back to normal. Good, we all are, right? Am I lying? Is there anybody out there who's not ready for things to get back to normal? Raise your hand if you want to spend the rest of your life living in isolation. Rhonda, put your hand down, all right? All you introverts, put your hand down, all right? I got to tell you, my wife, she let me know early on that God made her to shelter at home, right? Shelter her at home and give her a good book, and she's good to go. But for everybody else, all right, I am ready to get out, right? I'm ready to go. All right. But I want to say this. It's not about us. It's not about me. Listen, I miss people. I miss people desperately. I hate being isolated from you all, and I hate social distancing. And listen, I hate wearing a mask. I hate it. I'm just being honest with you, right? Journey's a place you can be honest. I hate wearing a mask. But I'm not wearing a mask for me. I am not wearing a mask for my own good. I'm wearing a mask for other people. And I'm social distancing for the time being for other people. I'm kind of trying to do what the Apostle Paul did, right? You remember what the Apostle Paul said? He said this. He said in 1 Corinthians 9:19, he said, "For though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them." I am trying to do my part to serve other people because it's not all about me. Now, listen very carefully. I'm not asking you to compromise in your convictions. Will you listen, please? Don't tune me out. I'm not asking you to compromise in your convictions, but I am asking you to consider compromises that might help those who are vulnerable. All right? Back to our text. Our king didn't practice social distancing, all right? We see him going. We see him helping, all right? Check this out. Matthew 4:25 through 5:1. And great crowds followed him from Galilee and the Decapolis and from Jerusalem and Judea and from beyond the Jordan. Seeing the crowds, he went up on the mountain. If we look at our king and his example, we see the kingdom is all about seeing. Jesus saw people. He saw people. He saw the crowds that were following him, and he didn't social distance from them. He decided to bless them. Jesus saw people. He didn't rush by them. He didn't ignore them. He wasn't too busy for them. He saw them walking their dogs around the neighborhood. He saw them arguing at the corner table in his favorite restaurant. He saw them crying by themselves in the back row of the church. He saw people dropping off their kids at daycare so they could make it to their second job. He saw them smiling in their picture on their Facebook profile. He saw them with a scotch in their hand, looking overwhelmed at the class reunion. Jesus saw people riding their bikes outside his window while he was sheltering at home. Jesus didn't avoid their text because he knew that they were going to need help again. He didn't step to the right side of the sidewalk when he saw a needy person on the left. He didn't make blanket statements about them. He didn't scowl at them when they cursed in the booth next to him at McDonald's. He didn't make assumptions about them because of the way they dressed. He didn't avoid being seen with them because of how they might impact his ministry. He never, while being interviewed on the evening news program, claimed that the disease that was killing so many people was God's judgment against America. He never forgot when he saw people that they loved their families too. Jesus, when he found out they were now homeless, never believed that they had finally gotten what they deserved. Jesus didn't see a pregnant tramp who may finally learn her lesson. No, he saw a young girl who needed help to find a way through the mess in which she found herself. He didn't look at lost people as if they were second-class citizens. He didn't see their tattoos and piercings as obstacles to their salvation. He didn't hear their music and decide that they were going straight to hell. He didn't see their sign which read, "We'll work for food," and think to himself, yeah, right? He didn't see their addictions. He didn't see their addictions as unconquerable disqualifiers that needed to be conquered before they could come back to church. Jesus didn't see their fear and judge them as people who hate freedom. And he didn't see their passion for freedom as a statement that they didn't care about sick people. Jesus saw people in ways we struggle to see people. And once you start looking at the Bible, it's like shopping for a red Subaru, right? You ever shop for a red Subaru, all right? And you go and you see this red Subaru and you really, really like it and you test drive it, all right? And then you talk to your spouse and he or she says, let's think about it, okay? Let's spend a night thinking about it. So you slide the keys back across the table and you leave that dealership thinking about whether or not you should buy a red Subaru. And listen, am I lying? What do you see the entire next day? All you see are red Subarus, right? You cannot not see red Subarus. Everywhere you go, red Subaru, red Subaru. Why? Because red Subarus are on your radar. And once you see it in the Bible, that Jesus saw people in ways we don't see people, you see it everywhere. It's like a red Subaru, right? All right, Luke 13:12. Come on. When Jesus saw her, he called her forward and said to her, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." John 5:6. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" John 11:33. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Mark 10:21. Jesus looked at him and loved him. He looked at him and loved him. "One thing you lack," he said, "go sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me." Now, here are a few things that we can do to see people during this time of sheltering to be more like our King, all right? Because our King saw people. Let's look people in the eye and smile, all right? That's something we can do. Even with social distancing, look people in the eyes and smile. And it's really weird when you're wearing a mask, because when you smile, they can't really see that you're smiling, all right? But they can see it in your eyes. Have you noticed that when you're out and about? If you smile at somebody, you can see in their eyes. Listen, people are keeping their heads down. People are walking around with their eyes downcast. You know what you and I can do? We can see people and we can look them in the eyes and smile. Now, with our mask, they may not see your smile, but they can see your heart through your eyes. All right, here's another thing we can do, okay? See something, say something. Now listen, I want to say something very carefully. Oh my, all right? We have this new phenomena right now, all right? We have unleashed a whole generation of tattletales, all right? Snitching is a thing, right? They're working, they're in their home, they're having a party, they're having church, they're having coffee as a group. Come on, are you serious? Like we've become a generation of snitches and tattletales, all right? That is absolutely what I'm not talking about, all right? When I say see something, say something, I'm not talking about being a tattletale, all right? All right? Here's what I'm saying. If you see someone who needs encouragement, say something. Text something. Write something. Just do something. If you see somebody who needs to be blessed, do it. If you see someone online who obviously needs someone to pray with them, pray with them. If while in a Zoom meeting, you can tell someone's not doing well, reach out to them. See if there's something you can do. I was in a Zoom meeting recently, and I noticed that somebody in the meeting looked so down. All right, we've been in a meeting like this already 25,000 times this pandemic, and I could tell this person just seems so down. So I pulled on my phone and I texted them, and they were struggling with something. See something, say something. If you see a need, meet that need. All right. Our King didn't social distance. All right. All right. We see him going. We see him helping. We see him seeing. And here's the last thing. All right. Matthew 5:1. I love this. And when he sat down, his disciples came to him. I want to focus on this right here. When he sat down. All right. Because we see our King staying. He didn't want to stop. Right. When you were little, like me, did you hate to stop? Mankind, I hated to stop. Like I wanted to go all the time. All right. I hated to stop so much that when my mom would put me down for a nap, I would fake like I had taken a nap and rub my eyes and just try to convince her that I had taken a nap so I could go out and get going again. Is there anybody out there who right now you would love for somebody to tell you to lay down and take a nap, right? You're with me, right? Are my people out there? Like if you would love for somebody to say, "Hey, you've been working hard all day. You need to lay down and take a nap," right? Jesus knew when to stop, and he stayed. Can we admit that some good things have come from this bad time? For me, one of the blessings of this time has been that I've been forced to slow down. On March 1st, I had about 12 major projects I was working on. March 12th, I had 5 projects I was working on, and I could do all of them in my pajamas, right? Like, that's one of the good things that has happened is we've been forced to slow down. I think one of the reasons some of us keep moving all the time is because we want to keep ourselves distracted from our pain, from our heartache, from our problems, from even people. And you don't want to slow down. Listen, one of the things that our King teaches us is that it's all about people. It's all about people. And just be in. My grandpa was from Kentucky, and he had a saying. He would say, "You got to be where the being is. You got to be where the being is. And one of the things this pandemic has shown us, it's shown us the importance of just like staying, just being with people. For Jesus, it's all about people. Why did our King even come to this planet? Here's what our King said. Our King said he came to this planet to seek and save people, the lost. So Jesus didn't social distance. He sat down in the midst of the crowd. Here's something you need to understand. I want to make sure you hear it, okay? People were not a problem to Jesus. They were a priority. They were not a distraction. They were his destiny. Listen, I want to encourage you. Stay. If you and I want to make an impact in this world, even with social distancing happening, let's be like our King and let's stay with people. Let's stay with people, okay? One of the reasons that's a benefit is because when you stay with people, it's easier to be heard. Staying makes it easier to be heard, all right? Jesus was on this mountaintop because of the acoustics, all right? If you look at the amazing speakers that we see in ancient times, the speakers who were amazing understood acoustics, and Jesus understood acoustics. So he positioned himself in a place where he could be heard, all right? I will tell you, when you're moving quickly, it's really hard to hear you, all right? A couple weeks ago, on a Sunday night, we were out praying for Arron. We have a man from our church who helps lead our kids ministry, and we're praying for him. He's fighting COVID. And a couple weeks ago, we were outside the hospital, and we were praying for Arron. All right, outside the hospital. We were maintaining as much social distance as we could. And people would go by and honk their horns, and people would go by and yell stuff, and you couldn't tell what they were saying because they were going by at 30 miles an hour. When you're driving by quickly, it's hard to be heard. But I do think this. One guy drove by, and I'm pretty sure that he had some fudge for you because what he said sounded just like that, all right? I'm just telling you, but I want you to understand, when you stay, it's easier to be heard. When you're going 1,000 miles an hour, it's so hard to be heard. And maybe you and I are missing an opportunity to make an impact in this world because we are just too busy. We're doing 12 things when we should be doing 5, and most of those should be done in our pajamas. We got to stay. Our King stayed. All right? People will be more apt to listen to us. Let me say this. This is very important. People will be more apt to listen to us when they know that we are willing to stay with them. I think that's one of the reasons I have a chance to have a little bit of influence here at Journey Christian Church. It's because I've been here 12 years. It'll be 12 years in June. I've been here 12 years, and I've shown the people I'm staying. And when you're willing to stay with people, they're more willing to listen to you. But here's another reason why staying is important. Staying gives you a better chance to make a positive impact. Jesus is about to deliver one of the most important messages ever. And I cannot wait to get into this message over the next weeks, right? Because, by the way, all of this is leading up to the Sermon on the Mount, and we haven't started the Sermon on the Mount yet. This is it, right before we start the Sermon on the Mount. But Jesus is about to deliver one of the most important messages ever delivered. It is so powerful. And Jesus wanted the impact of his message to stick with his followers, so he stuck around with them. Do I need to say it again? I am not saying in this message that we should violate social distancing orders. That's not what I'm saying. But if we at Journey, and if you at your church, whatever church you attend, if we want our message to stick with people in our community, then we need to be committed to our community. We have always said at Journey that we want to be the church, the one church in the community, that if we disappeared, they would miss us. We want to go to heaven at Journey and take as many people with us as possible. So like our King, we will go to them wherever they are. We will go to people wherever they are. We will, like our King, we will help people however we can. Like our King, we will see people as clearly as we can. And like our King, we will stay with them for as long as necessary, all while, for as long as it's needed, maintaining 6 feet of distance. God, we care about people who are sick. We care about the vulnerable. And so, God, we're going to maintain social distancing as long as we need to. But as we do that, God, May we not forget the big picture. May we know that, yes, even though social distancing may be a short-term necessity, it's a long-term tragedy. God, we pray that the day comes sooner rather than later when we can come together and give each other hugs and high fives and fist pumps. God, we look forward to the day when we can physically be back together in the same space. But until then, God, help us to be like your Son. Help us to not lose sight of the big picture. All right? Help us not to social distance ourselves out of effectiveness. God, please use us. Even if there's distance between us, please use us. Help us to go and help. Help us to see people. And God, give us the wisdom to know how best to stay in our communities. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I am so glad you're part of this. Thank you so much, week after week, for tuning in. I want to encourage you, if this message was a blessing to you, share it. It's going to be available all week long. Actually, available longer than that, but it's available this next week. And remember this, at Journey Christian Church, we're committed to journeying in Christ with the church for the community. So enjoy the journey. Don't enjoy it alone.
Thanks again for being with us today. If you would like to give, there is a push pay link in the description of this video. We hope you guys have a great week. See you next time.